Hey there, Cinemaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. Our movie begins in the Western Kingdom of Oz, known for being an enchanting and wonderful kingdom ruled by the Emerald Wizard Ozix from his private castle. People and animals live together there, and the animals talk, work, and coexist just like humans. But in recent years, some very bad things have happened, making animals the subject of ridicule and threats from evil and arrogant sorcerers. Then we see the inhabitants of a famous city in the Kingdom of Oz called Munchkinland, celebrating the death of the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba, who ruled their city. Elphaba was known to be very evil, feared, and hated by everyone. The people of Munchkinland are overjoyed at her death, which occurred as a result of part of the ice melting continuously for 13 hours. They congratulate each other, rejoicing that no one will control them anymore. Even the children are extremely happy, playing and having fun everywhere in the city. During their celebrations, they see a shining star in the middle of the sky approaching them. At that moment, they realize that Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, is on her way to them. Indeed, the star transforms into Glinda's throne, surrounded by a very beautiful magical bubble. As soon as Glinda descends from the sky, she touches the bubble with her magic wand, causing it to disappear immediately so she can hear the people of Munchkinland, who clearly love her very much and always look forward to her visits. Glinda congratulates them on the death of the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba, and that they are finally free from her. She continues celebrating and singing with them in a joyful atmosphere that engulfs everyone. Meanwhile, a little girl from the people of Munchkinland steps forward and asks Glinda about the origin of evil. At that moment, Glinda realizes that the answer is indeed difficult, because sometimes evil comes from within oneself, and other times it is imposed by difficult circumstances one has lived through. Glinda begins to tell the people of Munchkinland about the origins of Elphaba, explaining that she had a father who was appointed as their ruler before her, and a mother who was very strange. Her mother tried in every way to convince her father that she was loyal and faithful to him, but in reality, she waited for him to leave so she could meet her lover at their home. One day, her mother became pregnant with her. When the time came for her birth, it was very difficult and took longer than it should have. In the end, they were shocked to see a baby girl with hideous green features. Over time, Elphaba grew up to be a smart and educated child, but she remained ostracized by everyone around her. The children were afraid to play with her. Later, her mother gave birth to another daughter named Nessaros, who looked completely normal, unlike her older sister. Unfortunately, Nessaros was born disabled, unable to walk due to underdeveloped limbs. Elphaba loved spending time with her, telling her stories and tales from the world of magic and legends. She would also tell her stories about Oz, the wizard of the kingdom and its ruler, who rarely descended from the sky in a red balloon to check on his kingdom's people. She told her that he built an entire city of emeralds to live in and rule the kingdom from, because he loved emeralds so much. Despite its green color, it seemed that Elphaba had a complex about the color green, as she was born with it in a strange and different way from other humans. While she was telling her these stories, a group of children came to mock her, calling her a frog or a leaf and laughing at her appearance. This unleashed Elphaba's inner anger, and she lifted the rocks in front of her off the ground and hurled them at the mischievous children, who got scared and ran away. At that moment, Elphaba realized she had a supernatural ability and decided to hide it from everyone to avoid causing trouble for herself. We then return to the people of Munchkinland, still celebrating Elphaba's death. One of them hands Glinda a torch to burn Elphaba's statue, which stands in the middle of the city. She does so, and the residents get rid of any images of Elphaba in the streets. Afterward, Glinda returns to her throne and rebuilds the magical bubble around her to prepare to return to her city. But before she flies away, a young woman steps out from among the people of Munchkinland and tells her that she wants to ask a question. Glinda cancels the bubble again to listen to her. The young woman tells her that she heard Glinda and Elphaba were friends and asks if this is true. Glinda pauses for a moment, emotional, before responding. She admits they were classmates at the academy, studying together. Glinda begins to recall her memories of the past, telling them everything in detail. She remembers herself saying goodbye to her parents to travel to Shiz Academy of Magic, where she would study and fulfill her dream. As soon as Glinda arrives at the academy, all her classmates are impressed by her beauty and elegance, unlike Elphaba, who, upon her arrival, is met with disgust and fear from the other girls. Even Glinda herself is shocked when she sees her, making Elphaba feel embarrassed and ask why she's afraid of her. Glinda tells her she's just surprised by her green color, nothing more. She advises Elphaba that she shouldn't live with her green color and should find a solution for it. She promises to specialize in magic to help her eventually transform and live a normal life. Elphaba tries to respond and stand up for herself, telling her she can't make promises she can't keep, especially with abilities she doesn't even have. At that moment, Elphaba's father arrives with her sister Nessaros to enroll her in the academy despite her disability. He tells Elphaba she should stop exposing herself to ridicule and leave the academy immediately. He opposes the idea of her studying there. Afterward, he presents Nessaros with a very beautiful and valuable gift, and when she opens it, she discovers that it is a necklace from her mother made of diamonds. Nessaros is very happy with it, and her father laughs and tells her that it was given to her so she could look beautiful in front of her classmate. This upsets Elphaba greatly, but she does not feel jealous of her sister. Instead, she wishes her father would see her as beautiful as well, especially since she does not conform to the appearance he values. Later, Elphaba stands with Nessaros and congratulates her on the new life she is beginning at the academy, wishing her a fresh start, new friends, and classmates, as well as the books she will read and study. Nessaros thanks her and expresses her deep love for her. At that moment, she laughs sadly and hints that she will be busy with her new life and might not even remember her anymore. Then she moves her wheelchair, excitedly talking to her new classmates, while her father watches from a distance, pleased with her. Then, he makes a very strange request of Elphaba, that she stay with her sister in the academy, not to study as she had always dreamed, but to take care of her sister and fulfill all her needs. When Elphaba tries to refuse, he firmly and forcefully insists, telling her that if anything happens to her sister, she will be held accountable. The students gather in the academy courtyard, and one of the professors begins to speak to them about the departments they will study in and the professors who will teach them. He then introduces the dean of the college, Dr. Morrible, who is a very dignified and kind figure. The students applaud her warmly even before she appears before them. It is clear that they admire her based on what they have heard about her before joining the academy. Morrible stands on the platform, addressing the new batch of academy students, warmly welcoming them and encouraging them. She then begins to talk to them about the various departments in the academy, so they can choose the one that aligns with their interests and aspirations. Galinda listens in awe, as if wishing to be like her one day. Meanwhile, Elphaba listens to the speech directed at the students, feeling sad for herself because she had wished to be one of them, studying the same subjects and departments. Then, the announcement of the students' room assignments is made, and Morrible steps down from the platform to give them the chance to start their first day at the academy. At this moment, Galinda seizes the opportunity to speak with her. She tells Morrible that she wants to attend her seminar, reminding her of a statement from a previous seminar to show her interest and that she has been following her work even before joining the academy. Morrible tells her that she does not give seminars every semester, and that someone else, who is also important, will take on that role this year. She then leaves, walking away. Galinda feels ignored and embarrassed. At the same time, one of the academy staff members, named Kodal, stands with Nessaros, expressing great happiness at her presence. Kodal tells her that the academy is deeply honored to have her join, as she is the daughter of the mayor of Munchkinland. While they are talking, Kodal is surprised by Elphaba standing nearby. She is taken aback, especially when she learns that Elphaba will be staying at the academy to take care of Nessaros. Kodal suggests they find a private room to hide her from visitors. This angers Elphaba, who demands that Kodal leave and let her take her sister to her room. However, Kodal refuses and insists on accompanying Nessaros, forcibly pushing her wheelchair against Elphaba's wishes. At this point, Elphaba shocks them all by using her magical powers. She moves objects around the room, astounding everyone present, and lifts her sister in her wheelchair into the air. She then lowers her back down beside her to take her to her room herself. Afterward, she restores everything to its original state. This display terrifies her classmates, who decide to avoid her, seeing her as dangerous. Nessaros is upset with her sister when she notices the fear in her classmates' eyes and worries this will affect their relationship with her. She blames Elphaba for ruining her chance to make new friends, leaving her to retreat to her room alone, refusing any help. At this moment, Morrible appears, revealing that she had been observing everything from afar. She tries to improve Elphaba's image in the eyes of her classmates so they won't fear her. Morrible explains that she encouraged Elphaba to use her powers to demonstrate that magic is a way for the mind to comprehend the impossible. She then decides to take Elphaba under her wing at the academy and teach her various magical arts, having witnessed her extraordinary abilities despite never having formally studied magic. Morrible asks the students if anyone would volunteer to assist Elphaba. Galinda quickly volunteers, wanting to get closer to Morrible, even if it comes at the expense of her comfort. Morrible commends her for her kindness, and asks her to host Elphaba in her room throughout her training. Morrible then asks Elphaba to accompany her to her laboratory, refusing to take any other students along so she can focus on training Elphaba individually and bring out her full potential. This makes Galinda feel jealous and upset, as she feels her attempts to win Morrible's favor have been in vain. As Elphaba and Morrible make their way to the lab, Elphaba thanks her profusely for the opportunity. However, she explains that she cannot accept the offer because her father does not approve of her studying magic. Morrible reassures her, promising to personally handle her father and convince him. Morrible then asks Elphaba how long she has had this talent. Elphaba explains that it is not a talent but rather a feeling that overwhelms her, one she cannot control no matter how hard she tries. She describes how these episodes often lead to terrifying disasters. Morrible comforts her, assuring her that she will teach her how to use her magical powers correctly and control them at the right times. She expresses her immense joy at finding someone like Elphaba after years of waiting. Elphaba is deeply moved by Morrible's words, as it is the first time someone has treated her with kindness and admiration. Morrible shocks her further by saying that if she reaches a certain level of mastery in magic, the Wizard of Oz himself might invite her to his palace and appoint her as his special advisor. Elphaba is astonished and can hardly believe it. Morrible assures her that she will send a letter to the wizard immediately to inform him about her and promises to stand by her side until she reaches the highest ranks. On the condition that she works hard and listens to her, she welcomes her to the Cheese Academy. After that, she leaves her to recover, and at that moment, Elphaba is still trying to process that this is really happening, that finally, someone has shown her compassion and treats her with kindness and respect. She is surprised that the one trait she tried to hide from people all these years is now the very thing that will elevate her and earn their respect. Elphaba then goes to the room she shares with Galinda, and she begins to discover Galinda's true nature, that she is arrogant, opportunistic, and has used her as a means to get closer to Morrible. Elphaba finds that Galinda has filled the room with her belongings, leaving no space for Elphaba to keep her own things. She tells Galinda that this isn't fair, and Galinda then gives her a small, cramped space behind her wardrobe, saying that she can sleep there. She also leaves some boxes containing her own things in that space. Elphaba starts removing those items to make the space entirely hers, but Galinda tries to stop her. This leads to an argument, and in her frustration, Elphaba accidentally breaks a glass bottle due to her uncontrollable anger. The two end up living together in the same room, each harboring resentment toward the other, and they constantly clash. Their life together is very difficult. On the last day, Elphaba puts on the Academy's official uniform and starts attending classes with the other students, participating in all the activities just like them. However, she remains ostracized by the students, and no one is eager to befriend her. In contrast, everyone loves Galinda and tries to get close to her in every way possible. The students then attend a lecture by Dr. Dillamond, a professor in the history department. He is an elderly goat who has been an expert in historical sciences for years. Dr. Dillamond begins teaching them lessons about the past and explaining mysterious aspects of history. None of the students engage with him except for Elphaba, who answers his questions due to her knowledge from the book she read as a child. This makes her classmates envious of her. During the lecture, Galinda speaks up and tells Dr. Dillamond that they won't benefit from learning about the past, which he has been explaining since the beginning of the class. Dr. Dillamond explains to her that they need to study the past to understand the present, and gives her a timeline to show the connection between the two. However, he is shocked to find someone has written on the timeline, "Animals are only for watching. We cannot listen to them." Dr. Dillamond is deeply hurt and asks the students who wrote this, but no one responds. He then tells them he is resigning from teaching them and accidentally drops his notes on the floor due to his unsteady movement. The students leave the classroom as he requested, except for Elphaba, who stays behind because she empathizes with him and understands what he is going through. She begins picking up his fallen notes, and Dr. Dillamond thanks her sincerely, telling her she is a kind person. He shares with her that poppies are his favorite flowers, and she tells him that she loves them too. Dr. Dillamond then asks her to leave and join her friends, but she reveals that she doesn't have any friends. He tells her to consider him her friend from now on. They form a bond. The next day, Elphaba goes to the lab with Morrible, who begins teaching her a new form of magic and how to control her powers and use them when needed. After many attempts to perform the task, Elphaba fails and feels discouraged. Morrible reassures her, explaining that success doesn't come on the first try. Morrible asks Elphaba about what happened during Dr. Dillamond's lecture, and Elphaba tells her everything. She expresses her wish to eliminate all the arrogant and oppressive individuals who cause emotional harm to others. In her anger, the objects in front of her move involuntarily, and a glass bottle breaks. Morrible is astonished and tells her she is becoming very powerful. Morrible explains that once Elphaba learns to manage her emotions, she will be able to control her magic and reach the pinnacle of sorcery in no time. That night, Elphaba is walking alone in the academy when she notices Dr. Dillamond meeting with his fellow animals in a secluded place to avoid being seen or discovered. She eavesdrops on their conversation and hears them discussing their fellow animals who have mysteriously disappeared or were forced out of their jobs due to pressure and blackmail. They decide to take action before their manager targets them, as he did with the previous animals. Suddenly, the animals sense movement outside the house. Dr. Dillamond opens the door and is surprised to find Elphaba standing there. He invites her in and shares the discussion with her because he trusts her. When she leaves, she is startled when a stranger on horseback bumps into her, causing her lamp to fall. The stranger apologizes and mocks her, saying he mistook her for one of the surrounding leaves. He tries to talk to her, but she ignores him and walks away. It is revealed that this young man is Prince Fiyero, the prince of the city of Miganoff. He has joined the academy to learn magic. The next day, the academy announces Prince Fiyero's enrollment, and the professors and students are very proud of his presence. Galinda wears her most beautiful dress and tries to look her best to catch his attention. All the students welcome Fiyero and hope to befriend him, but he is arrogant and doesn't speak to anyone. Galinda approaches him and asks if he is looking for something. When Fiyero looks at her, he is struck by her beauty and asks if they have met before. She tells him she doesn't know and walks away, satisfied that he is interested in her. Fiyero follows her and decides to take her on a tour of the academy. They go to the library together and are impressed by it. While in the library, Fiyero notices Elphaba sitting alone, reading. He tries to wave at her to get her attention, but she ignores him again and continues reading. Fiyero then returns to Galinda and tells her he is hosting a party in the hall and wants her to join him. While they are talking, a student named Bach arrives at the library and sits on the floor in front of them. Fiyero helps him up, and Bach then approaches Galinda, asking her to dance with him at the party and share those special moments. Galinda tells him she doesn't mind, but she suggests someone better for him to take to the party instead. She points to Nessaros, Elphaba's sister, and encourages Bach to muster the courage to talk to her. And indeed, he goes to her and reads to her that she should join him at night for the party. Nusrez is very happy and sees it as the best opportunity that has come to her in her life. She goes and talks to her sister Elphaba, who is very pleased and tells her that all of this is thanks to Galinda. Elphaba feels upset because her sister doesn't know the truth about Galinda and thinks she's a good person who loves helping others. At night, Galinda starts preparing for the party. She looks very beautiful and attractive. Elphaba enters her room after a long day of studying. At that moment, Galinda asks her to join them at the party. She keeps trying to convince her until she finally succeeds. Before the party, Elphaba goes to Morrible in her dormitory and makes a very strange request, which we will also find out later. At night, during the party, Fiyero dances with Galinda, and Bach dances with Nusrez. Everyone is very happy, and all the students enter a state of joy that makes them forget everything else. During the celebration, Morrible goes to Galinda and gives her a magic wand for training so that she and Elphaba can join. Galinda is very happy and thanks her for trusting her, but Morrible shocks her by revealing that she is certain she has no talent. However, she decided to include her in the training at Elphaba's request, who had threatened to leave the academy if she didn't agree to include her. At that moment, Elphaba arrives at the party dressed as a wicked witch. She starts dancing provocatively in front of everyone, as if she has never danced before. Galinda tries to save the situation and goes to dance with her, teaching her how to dance so she doesn't embarrass herself further. After the party ends and they return to their quarters, Elphaba thanks Galinda for supporting her. They agree that each of them will share a deep secret about their lives. Galinda tells Elphaba that she and Fiyero will get married one day. Elphaba asks if Fiyero has proposed to her before, and she replies, "Not yet." Then Elphaba shares a big secret that has troubled her all her life, her father's hatred for her. She explains the main reason he despises her is that he blames her for her sister's disability. This is because when her mother was pregnant with her, she feared the baby would be born green like Elphaba. Her mother kept drinking milk flowers during the pregnancy to induce an early birth, which led to her sister's disability due to incomplete development. Elphaba admits that she has always felt guilty toward her sister, but Galinda reassures her that it's not her fault, as she didn't choose to be born this way. At that moment, the two decide to become friends. Galinda starts dressing Elphaba in her own clothes and improves her appearance as much as she can, convincing her that she is truly beautiful. She assures her that she will become a very special star in the world of magic. The next day, Fiyero tries to interact with Elphaba and befriend her, but she rejects him as usual and walks away. Later, the students attend a meeting with Dr. Dillamond, who announces his decision to resign and retire from the academy. Elphaba brings him a bouquet of poppy flowers, which he loves. But before he can take them, several academy guards enter the classroom and arrest him without justification in front of the students. Their goal is to cleanse the academy and the entire kingdom of animals. At the same moment, Madame Morrible welcomes the new history professor, who is human like them. He tells them that just as they study the past, they must also study the future, which is contrary to Dr. Dillamond's approach. The new professor brings a small lion cub and locks it in a cage. He tries to convince the students that it must never leave the cage, no matter the reason, as it is the place it deserves. Elphaba becomes furious and says that someone responsible must intervene to stop the injustice happening to the animals. She slams the poppy bouquet she's holding onto her desk, and the flowers scatter into the air. Each flower lands on a person in the classroom, putting everyone to sleep except for Elphaba and Fiyero. They quickly go to free the lion cub. At that moment, Morrible enters the classroom and sees what happened. She realizes it was Elphaba's doing and confirms that Elphaba has reached the level of power she desired. Morrible writes a letter to the Wizard of Oz and sends it to him. Meanwhile, Elphaba is in the forest with Fiyero. He finally manages to talk to her after many failed attempts. Fiyero realizes he is very attracted to her. The next morning, a response from the Wizard of Oz arrives in a letter addressed specifically to Elphaba, inviting her to visit the palace officially. Elphaba can't believe her happiness. Morrible encourages her and advises her to prove herself in front of the wizard with her magic to achieve what she desires. But Elphaba is not confident in herself and feels she is still not capable. Morrible reassures her, telling her it's just the beginning and that she will improve quickly because she is smart. A special train from the Emerald City arrives to take her to the wizard's palace. Before she leaves, Fiyero comes to bid her farewell and tries to get close to her. Although Galinda is standing with them, he completely ignores her, focusing only on Elphaba. Galinda is surprised by the change in his behavior toward her. Elphaba boards the train, ready for her journey. All her classmates wave goodbye and wish her good luck. She feels very happy that, finally, there are people in her life who care about her. Before the train departs, Elphaba calls out to Galinda and asks her to join her. Galinda quickly rushes to board the train just in time. They travel together on a joyful journey to the Emerald City. As soon as they arrive, they are amazed by its beauty. The entire city is green, and its people are very happy, constantly celebrating and loving everything they do. Elphaba and Galinda enter the palace, where they are greeted by a terrifying face with a frightening voice. The face asks who they are and why they are here. Elphaba explains that she came at his invitation and introduces herself and her friend Galinda. Finally, the Wizard of Oz appears to them and explains that he didn't mean to frighten them, but used the scary face to identify who was coming before meeting them in person. He expresses his happiness in finally meeting her and gives her a small statue he made especially in her likeness. She holds the statue of the Wizard of Oz. He told them that its color was green, and Asgus understood that she had hoped he would specifically transform her appearance. So, Faba holds the statue and insists that its color is green. At this point, Asgus realizes that she had hoped he would transform her to her natural color. He asks her if this was her deepest wish, but she says no and reveals that her deepest wish is to help animals. He then tells her that he also dreams of the same thing, and that they must help each other as long as their desire is mutual. At this moment, Morbo arrives at the palace, and Faba is overjoyed to see her. Afterward, Asgus shows them his magic book, one of the rarest and most important books of magic in the kingdom, called the Grimoire. Faba excitedly approaches the book, and Morbo asks her to read the levitation and flying spell. She reads it effortlessly, and suddenly, Chistri, the monkey guard of Asgus, begins to suffer. He starts transforming into a bird, growing wings. Faba feels pity for him and wants to reverse the spell, but the grimoire informs her that its spells cannot be undone. They all head out to the palace courtyard, where Faba is shocked to see all the monkey guards transforming into birds. Here, Asgus's true intentions are revealed. He wants to turn his guards into spies in the sky to fly over the kingdom's cities and report the locations of animals so they can be captured, especially animals that rebel and demand the same rights as humans. The biggest shock is that Morbo herself is revealed to be complicit in this crime. It becomes clear that the two of them exploited Faba's talent and skill in magic to achieve their evil intentions. Faba takes the book and runs away from them, hoping to find a solution. At this point, Morbo speaks with Galinda and tells her that if she wants a position in magic, she must assist them. Morbo then orders the transformed monkeys to follow Faba and bring her back. Asgus also calls on his human guards, ordering them to chase her and not let her escape. Meanwhile, Faba is running through the palace corridors, searching for an exit. Suddenly, the monkeys attack her from all directions, trying to capture her, but she evades them. Galinda catches up with her and asks her to return to Asgus, revealing that she had been using Faba all along to gain favor with Osgus and secure a good position at the Academy of Magic. Galinda had realized that the professors and teachers liked Faba and supported her. Faba refuses to go back with her. Faba reaches the red airship that Osgus uses to watch over the kingdom. She boards it to escape the guards. Galinda follows her to prevent her from getting away. Unfortunately, the airship's exit hatch refuses to open, and the airship begins to burn. They quickly jump out, and the airship crashes onto the guards, burning some of them. Faba and Galinda retreat to an isolated room, where they overhear Morbo announcing to the city that there is an enemy among them. She describes the enemy as evil, green in color, and hideous in appearance, both inside and out. Faba's feelings are deeply hurt by these words, and she becomes convinced that no one will help her. Faba continues to read the grimoire, hoping to find a solution to save herself. Galinda tries to convince her that this won't work, but something unexpected happens. The book sends Faba a magical broomstick to fly with. However, the guards quickly reach her. They capture Galinda in front of her to force Faba to surrender. To distract them from Galinda, Faba breaks the glass window and flies away on the broomstick. She descends rapidly, as if falling, but suddenly sees a vision of herself as a child, encouraging her gently. At that moment, the broomstick begins to work, lifting her upward and saving her. The movie ends. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos. See you next time.